important, and so is humanity. Let's use our brains. Let's build up our national capital. But let's make sure that every dollar spent delivers maximum benefit and that we are explicit about the trade-offs while doing it. In coming to the end of my speech tonight, I would like to touch on a topic that I am deeply committed to, a commitment I share with many people here, and that is the plight of Indigenous Australians. It's hard to believe that in modern Australia, a group of us still live in circumstances that, on almost every measure, are unacceptable. The broad statistics are familiar to us. The issues seem so intractable. But if we come to this Parliament with the aim of doing good work for our fellow countrymen and women, and particularly for those less fortunate, then we must surely keep the plight of Indigenous Australians high on our agenda. My views in this area are informed by my experience working as the Deputy Director of the Cape York Institute. They are influenced by my former boss, Noel Pearson, whom I regard as one of Australia's greatest intellects. I look forward to working with my new colleague, Ken Wyatt, and learning from his experience. I believe that if we are to make substantial progress, then we must have sharp clarity around the proposition that no group of people can prosper unless they are an integral part of the real economy. In the modern globalised world, economic and social development in any community requires basic education and social norms in relation to work. This is not an assertion based on ideology. It is an empirical fact. We do no favours to any group of people, not least our most disadvantaged citizens, if we believe that normal schooling and normal jobs are somehow less relevant by virtue of one's location or culture. I believe we need a more urgent and more ambitious agenda in these two areas. We need achievable targets for this term of Parliament, not just targets to halve the gap in a decade or more. That is a recipe for inaction. There are 4 actions that I put forward. First, full school enrolment should be enforced under the law. It should be put on the next COAG agenda. There are no excuses for delay. Second, we should aim to achieve mainstream school attendance levels within this term of Parliament. We should use every lever at our disposal to achieve this, including enforcing attendance laws, linking welfare to school attendance, and funding case managers to support parents taking responsibility. Third, there should be a focus on reforming schools in remote areas to ensure mainstream quality. And if the poison of grog impedes progress, then there should be a redoubling of our efforts against alcohol availability and use. Finally, in employment, we should acknowledge that in many remote communities, there will never be sufficient jobs. We must change the incentives so that every able-bodied person, and particularly school leavers, is strongly encouraged to be mobile and find employment regardless of where those jobs are located. It is ridiculous that we have jobs going begging and yet have thousands of people sitting and becoming debilitated on welfare. Mr. Speaker, I do not pretend that my proposals are easy or comprehensive, nor do they contradict or negate legitimate aspirations for additional rights, for cultural maintenance or for symbolic reconciliation. But until we banish Indigenous relativism and have mainstream aspirations for Indigenous schooling and employment, then I fear our progress will be tragically slow. Long term, Australia will be the loser. No one comes to this Parliament, Mr. Speaker, without the support and foundations of others. In my case, I bring a bedrock of values and unflinching support over many years from my parents, Doreen and Graham, their respective partners, Norm and Margaret, my brother and sister, Stephen and Shona, and my in-laws, Margaret and Dennis, and their families. I've been the beneficiary of great mentors, including Colin Carter, Brendan Nelson, Jim Carlton, Alexander Downer, Bob Charles, Greg Hunt, and Chris Pearce. I've had friendships, advice and support in so many ways from Richard Balderstone, Ross Fitzgerald, Yvonne Thompson, Yen Liao, Henry Jones, Catherine Murphy, Mary, DB, Jack and Das. Importantly, I come here as a proud member of the Liberal Party of Australia, whose values of hard work, small government and individual enterprise I share. And I particularly acknowledge the Aston chairman and his wife, Maureen and Graham McEwen. Outstanding individuals who over 20 years have now seen 3 Liberal members enter this chamber. And I also acknowledge other tireless contributors, including Darren Disney, David Jancic, Michael Gilmore, Glenda and Max Frost, Perrin Brown, Ben Davies, Sandra Ray, Glenys Allen, Martin Bartlett, John Shipp, and the hundreds of others who have supported our efforts. I thank you all. I would not be here without you. And to my darling wife Terry and our 2 beautiful girls, Cassie and Chris, you are the most important people in my life. You have always been there for me, despite my absences, and I promise I will always be there for you. Mr. Speaker, this is a remarkable country. We inspire others with our sense of the possible through our world-class scientists, researchers, doctors, artists, business people, designers and sports people. I want to be part of creating opportunities for all Australians in the generations to come, in my electorate of Aston and right across Australia. Tilly Aston's life is a vision of our better selves. In a time of limited opportunity, she created opportunity. In a time of closed doors, she opened doors. In a time of rationed generosity, she gave untold generosity. Her values are our values of openness, of opportunity, of the majestic possibility of each life. And if in some small way I can embody those values, then that will be enough. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Can you go?
Thanks, brother. Thank you very much.
See you later.
Pete. Yeah, whatever.